Bringing the former Vice President Mike Pence, who's sitting with me in studio here, and nice to see you, and good morning to you. The reason you're here is because you got a new book out, What Conservatives Believe, and I'll get to that in a moment. First, on Iran, though, you said this had to happen. How come?
Well, for 47 years, Iran has been at war with America and with Israel, claimed American lives, literally by the thousands, starting with the Marine Corps barracks, bombing, and all the way through the Iraq War. They're the leading state sponsor of terror. And I give President Trump all the credit in the world for unleashing our military directly for the first time against Iran a year ago, and then in Operation Epic Fury. It had to happen, Bill. As we continue to see the stops and starts of negotiations, I'm very encouraged to see the resolve that President Trump has shown.
I guess that's what I want to get at, because it's the question I probably get the most from viewers anywhere in New York or when I'm traveling. And that question is, how do we resolve this? What's that answer?
Well, look, what we have to have at the end of the day, and you just heard the Secretary of State say it, we have to have the Iranians agree to abandon and dismantle their entire nuclear program, dismantle their ballistic missile program, give up on decades of supporting terrorist proxies across the region, and open the strait. If that doesn't happen diplomatically, we've got to let the armed forces of the United States of America do it on our terms. And they're fully capable of doing that. I have nothing but admiration for the brilliant work that our military has done across the region. But there's more work to be done. You know, there's an old saying, Bill, that one does not make peace with one's enemy, one makes peace with one's defeated enemy. And with all of the dithering and the games that the Iranians are playing right now, I think it may well be necessary for us to go back in and to hit them in such a way that either brings them to the table or finishes the threat that this regime has posed to our country, to Israel, to its own people once and for all.
I want to get to two more topics before we get back into the hearing. Yeah. One is what's happening in California today, and that's the primary season. And you had some interesting comments recently about where the Democratic Party is and maybe where it's going. We'll get to Republicans next, but first on Democrats. Josh Kraushaar writes this. He says, Democrats' June primary test, can the party stop its radical flank? Okay, that's to be decided today in California. Meanwhile, in the state of Maine, you got Graham Plattner who's going to be on D.C. today. You said recently that Democrats have lost their minds. What do you mean?
Well, it's amazing that for the last 50 years, the Republican Party, defined by a broad conservative agenda from the Reagan administration to the first Trump administration, has been battling politically against the liberal left. But that's not what we're seeing today. I think one of the reasons why the president remains so durable and so popular is because people appreciate that he's battled against a radical left. And we see the Democratic Party literally going over the cliff to the progressive left. I mean, embracing socialism, literally walking away from the principles of free markets, embracing isolationism abroad, as well as a radical social agenda on everything from abortion to gender issues. And so, yeah, I actually said in my book that comes out today, I said, there's a battle within the Republican Party between traditional conservatives and the populist right that would change the agenda, some of which the administration has embraced. But as I said, Republicans may have lost our way, but Democrats have lost their mind.
You've worked with a lot of center-left Democrats in your time in Washington. Is the center-left going to lose this battle, I think, is the essential question here.
Oh, I think they are. I think the American people will reject socialism. They'll reject the politics and policies of the radical left. I'm encouraged about the progress we're making in these midterm elections, and I really commend the leadership of the House and the Senate for the work that they're doing to keep their majorities. But at the end of the day, we can't be just defined by what we're against. We have to be defined by what we're for. And while I want to say emphatically, I think the second Trump administration has gotten a lot right, stood up to Iran, stood with Israel, secured the border, extended all those Trump-Pence tax cuts. All of that has been good. But what I wrote this book for is because there is a movement I call it the populist right, that has embraced big government, protectionist policies, even questioned our strike against Iran, and is questioning support for Israel and marginalizing traditional values like the right to life. And so I hope it ignites a debate about what Republicans and conservatives believe, and I look forward to being a part of that.
Okay, so you wrote the Wall Street Journal, talk about Republicans now. You already made the transition, so I'll follow up. You wrote, popular opinion is fickle. Principles are final. When principles guide us, they can lead us to our greatest political successes. The challenge for conservatives is to hold fast to our principles. And you just mentioned a number of things that you agree with the president. The border, tax cuts that you helped start in 2017, and also what's happening in the Middle East. And we have seen during this primary season that his endorsements matter. Right. He's nearly undefeated. What does that say about where he is right now as the leader of the Republican Party?
Well, I don't think unquestionably, President Trump is the leader of the Republican Party, and he's earned that through a consistent battle against the radical left. I think you've seen that endorsement not only in Texas and Louisiana, but in the state of Indiana in state Senate races. And that's all well-deserved. But for me, as we go forward as a party, I think it's important that we recognize that while our battle will continue to be against the increasingly radical and progressive left in this country, that there's a new threat to that traditional conservative agenda of a strong defense, of less government, less taxes, traditional moral values, and the right to life. And that's coming from the populist right. This administration has embraced some of those things, but not all. But I think as time goes on, it will be to the benefit of our party if we return to what conservatives believe, both in the midterms and ultimately in 28, where people are talking a lot about who it's going to be, Bill. But the conviction that I have is that it's going to be more important for us to focus on what we're for before we focus on who we're for.
So there's a Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance contest that is possible. Who would get your support?
Well, I want to wait and see all the men and women that step forward. And what I can tell you, as a private citizen living in Indiana, where we got 5 acres and a pond and a riding mower.
You're lucky.
And a pickup truck, traveling all across this country. I think people are going to be looking for that man or woman that is going to continue the great progress that both Trump administrations have made, but also is going to reground us on the principles of limited government. I mean, the idea of nationalizing businesses, price controls, the president's broad-based tariffs against friend and foe alike, that's not consistent with that conservative tradition and belief in free markets. I'm going to be looking for the candidate that's standing for freedom, for limited government, for the right to life, traditional values, and I'm confident that candidate will emerge.
Thank you for coming in today. The book is called What Conservatives Believe, Rediscovering the Conservative Conscience. It's out today, and I appreciate you making time for us today, all right?
Appreciate you, Bill.
Nice to see you again. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.